Hello everyone, welcome to another video, and this is going to be sort of my first impressions of Dauntless, which finally went into open beta and had somewhat of a soft launch on the 24th of May. Now, I originally wanted this to be a full review, but I can't really play enough of the game because the server queues are absolutely preposterous. And what often happens is by the time I get past the queue, which can sometimes take, like 3-4 hours, I'm already playing something else. So by the time the game loads, I'm like, no, I'm already playing Path of Exile or something, and I immediately close it again. Now, this is on one hand a very good problem to have for the developers. Too many people want to play your game. But on the other, it's also a very serious problem because people are starting to get pissed. Because as I've said, sometimes you're waiting for like 80,000 people to cycle through the servers, which can take a few hours. And it's not just that, this is still a beta release, so things can and will happen. Like one time I finished one of the missions, the game failed to load me into the main city and I had to alt F4 out of the mission and sit through the queue again. So I'll just say that the launch wasn't the best. Alright, so what is this game about? Well, what you see on the screen right now, fighting big monsters. A lot of people compare it to the Monster Hunter games. I haven't played any of them, but from what I've heard, it's basically what if Warframe was Monster Hunter. That's kind of the idea here. You have a central hub where you can get quests, craft items like weapons, armors, consumables, and from there you can select the hunt. So you will go to an island, kill a big thing, go back to the main city, and repeat. Or that's at least what the game is in the first few hours, because as I've said, I can't really log in reliably enough to get any further than that. The game starts off with a fairly simple tutorial where you will pretty much just learn by doing, so they will give you a fairly easy monster to fight that doesn't do a ton of damage, isn't particularly aggressive, though it can kill you if you're a complete potato, but it has very obvious telegraphs and it gives you plenty of openings to get in and actually get some damage done. I think it's really good because it gives you plenty of time to kind of wrap your head around the controls and how everything works. You are then introduced to the main city, which, as I've said already, is your hub where you will craft, get quests, and, go on adventures from. But that's not the end of the tutorial. The game will kind of spoon-feed you little bits and bobs here and there, usually just one thing per mission. For example, the third monster, which is a very angry doggo dinosaur, teaches you about combos, and it's actually really smart the way they did this, because they only show you the combo system once you're on the actual island and heading towards this insanely fast and aggressive monster that also gets tired fairly frequently, so it kind of teaches you combos and patience at the same time, because it's not overwhelmingly smart to fight this thing when it's charging around. So the best way to approach it is to actually wait for it to get tired, dash in, do a couple of the combos that the game just shown you, and then dash out and wait for it to get tired again. And it's a brilliant way of teaching people new things, because you're learning by doing, and the devs trust you that you're not a complete moron and that you will figure this out on your own, which is good. I like that. It makes you feel good because, you feel like you figured it out, which is most certainly deliberate. Man, sometimes I just hate that I'm starting to understand why games do certain things, because it makes them seem far less magical. No matter, moving on, the next monster, which is a reskin of the tutorial monster, but it's also far more aggressive, so it actually feels different to the tutorial monster when you're fighting it, introduces the idea, a very cool idea in my opinion, of kind of chopping off bits and pieces of the monster as you're fighting it, and using that to craft new weapons and armor. And it's really cool because you actually chop bits and pieces off of the monster. In the case of this one, you can chop off its tail, and then I'm not quite sure what the other two things that I chopped off were. It kind of looked like I just trimmed its sides a little bit. This is also the first monster, or at least for me it was, that enrages mid-fight. I'm not quite sure what that does to the monster, but I'm gonna assume it just buffs its damage. Now the combat is, I suppose, similar to Monster Hunter games, but once again I haven't played any of them. But for me it's somewhat similar to Dark Souls, but it has a combo system. I don't think there's a lock-on mechanic, which does make sense because you want to hit different parts of the monster to chop them off, though there is a button that will kind of rotate your camera to face the monster you're fighting, which is good enough, I think. I didn't use it too much. I only used it when the monster jumped behind me because it was faster than turning my camera around. And by the way, I was playing this with the mouse and keyboard and it was completely fine. I was expecting it to be a little bit clunky because I generally prefer to play games like this with a controller, and I want to try that out. I'm currently sitting in the queue, but there is 67,000 people in front of me, so it's probably not gonna happen today, but it feels absolutely fine with mouse and keyboard. Now, so far I had the opportunity to try 3 different weapon classes. The basic sword, which is the one you start with, that I didn't like at all because it felt way too short. The hammer, which does a ton of damage but is very slow, and while I liked it more than the sword, I didn't like it as much as the third weapon, which were the sort of chain sickles, which is the weapon that I actually stuck with because I enjoyed it the most. It's really fast, the heavy attack has a nice bit of range, the combos are really cool, and unlike the sword and the hammer, which make you roll when you press the dodge button, which with mouse and keyboard is spacebar by default, you actually dash, which seems to move you farther. Though the amount of iframes is either the same or actually lower than it is on the roll, because I found that dashing through attacks rather than away from them was a lot harder than rolling through attacks. Though that may have nothing to do with iframes, it may just be my terrible timing or the fact that when you roll, you roll up into a ball so you have a smaller hitbox. And that's unfortunately as far as I got into the game. I've been trying to log back in to get further than that, but I've been in the queue right now for 2 hours and there's still 56,000 people in front of me, so I don't think I will get in today, and I highly doubt that I'll be able to get into the game on the weekend. Now, the game is free to play, so you can just download it and play it right away, which I think is why the servers are as overwhelmed as they are. So in order for them to make money, there is a cash shop that uses a special currency called Platinum. Now, you can either buy Platinum on its own, or you can buy 3 different supporter packs, which are the Supporter, Recruiter, and Commander, which cost $39.99, $59.99, and $99.99 respectively. Now, I did a quick browse through the shop because there is actually a quest that sends you to the shop to buy some basic dies. This is something that games do a lot to kind of show you that you can buy stuff, but they will give you something for free. And I couldn't find anything pay to win. It's just emotes, dies, and some starter kits and boosters. That's pretty much it. To me, it seems like the developers are just a good bunch of people that want to make a good game but have to monetize it somehow to make money because, well, you have to make money if you want to make games. So overall, my opinion on Dauntless after the first couple of hours is fairly positive. It has this quality that a lot of games have lost, for me at least, where I want to keep playing the game not because of the rewards, though they are definitely a part of it, but because I want to see new environments, new islands, and new monsters, because the monster design is pretty cool. They're really fun to fight and they look awesome as well. You know what, the farther I get into this video, the more I feel like I want to do a follow-up video once I've played a little bit more of the game, which is gonna take a while because I feel like the server issues are here to stay for at least another week, at least. But I think the fact that I'm kind of willing to put up with the server queues just to play more of the game tells you how much I enjoy it, because if this game was just meh, I would not have bothered sitting in the queue for an hour just to play a little bit more of it. Though I'm a little bit worried whether or not the monster hunting aspect gets a little bit dull after a while, because while the monsters look cool and they're fun to fight, if there is nothing else, which I don't know if there is, it might just get a little bit dull after a while if it's all you're doing. Because if I, for example, look at Dark Souls, yeah, I really enjoy the boss fights in those games, but I also enjoy just wandering around the world and exploring. And I'm pretty sure I would not have enjoyed it as much if it was just a straight up boss rush. Once again, I'm not willing to say yay or nay on that until I've played, 30, 40, maybe 50-ish hours. And I think I've been rambling for long enough, so I will leave it at that for now, but I will try to look back into the game, get some more playtime, and if I still enjoy it after, let's just say a week, I'll make a follow-up video, alright? I'll also try to delve into the multiplayer and do some of the hunts with other people as well, because so far I've only been playing solo. And as always, I thank you very much for watching, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.